As a child, my mom would wake up at the crack of dawn every day and meticulously prepare nutritious lunches for my sister and me, each packaged neatly in its individual thermos, its contents awaiting my hungry stomach at school. While all my friends around me dreadfully ate the school lunches consisting of soggy bread, stale pizza, and cartons of milk, I had the luxury of eating a hot lunch of rice, flavorful meat, and fresh vegetables. I should have been more grateful to my mom and her loving affection, but the fear of not belonging and being shunned by others loomed over my small second grade self, clouding any sense of appreciation I had. See, the way I grew up was very different from my predominantly American classmates. The food from my culture drastically differed from the food from their culture, setting me apart from others. When I opened my thermos of steaming lotus root soup, a common Asian delicacy that I enjoyed so much at home, other classmates would stare in my direction and whisper about the strange smell of the soup or the weird shape of the lotus root. A wave of embarrassment would flood across my face, and I would stare down at the table and put away my soup, choosing to be hungry rather than to be ridiculed by people who had no respect for my culture. I'm sure many others have experienced the same prejudices and stereotypes that I have, and are continuously bullied for it. I remember immature boys making fun of my last name as I walk home from school, racist slurs being thrown left and right, with no regard to the damage a joke can do to someone. It does not take a genius to see that this isn't right. This is my culture, my liberty, my freedom to enjoy my way of life and behavior without receiving criticism. The history of the United States is littered with legislative acts obstructing the liberty of minorities. The Jim Crow laws purposely limited the rights of African Americans. The Trail of Tears forcefully relocated Native Americans. The Chinese Exclusion Act, which prohibited Chinese immigration for 10 years. The US has repeatedly demonstrated authority over minorities fueled by hate and the non-acceptance of other cultures. Think about the promise of loyalty to the United States that each student is required to recite every day, the Pledge of Allegiance. How are we to recite this pledge of liberty and justice for all, yet innocent minorities are being killed simply because of their race and the hateful stereotypes people assume? Yao Panma was a 61-year-old Chinese immigrant who recently passed away after being brutally attacked by someone suspecting them of robbery. He was innocent, yet the attacker had falsely deemed him a robber solely because of his race. And another precious life is snuffed out by hate. When will this end? Fast forward. In just 2020, the NYPD reported that anti-Asian hate crimes had rose by 367%. What's more is that out of the reported anti-Asian hate crimes, there is a significantly high percentage of women affected. As an Asian American woman, I fear for my future and the future of the many other girls in my position. We are so close to growing up and stepping out of the safety of our childhood into a world that revolves around hate and not kindness. I should not have to fear for my life when I walk outside. I should not have to hide certain aspects of my culture because people don't appreciate my uniqueness. I will not stand by and watch in silence while humanity self-destructs by pitting people of different races against each other in utter chaos. At the root of it all, we are all the same. Every species of plant has different leaves, petals, or colors, but when you go down to the roots, they do not change. What can change, though, is the seed from which a plant grows and flourishes. In my opinion, a different seed must be sown, a seed that is focused on changing this cruel aspect of American society, a seed dedicated to educating future generations about diversity, inclusion, and equity to ensure all future generations are educated and that all cultures are respected and understood. While education has been the root of problems arising due to the ignorance of the general population, It is also the starting point for transformation and overcoming abhorrent stereotypes. By immersing students in an environment with diverse cultures, they are more open to society and can become more empathetic citizens. Here it is, presenting my checklist of urgent things to accomplish. Number 1, keep people responsible. Everyone should have a sense of responsibility and realize that the only way to change is to take action. Have a director of diversity and inclusion focus solely on advocating for this idea and provide more training for staff, since these are the core people interacting with students every day, shaping them as a person and nurturing their learning environment. Number 2, allow mistakes to happen. New methods and curriculums will not transpire without the constant trying and failing of ideas. Some things will work and some things won't, and oftentimes it will be more struggle than celebration. But the end product will no doubt be worth it. I want you to envision a world that Dr. Martin Luther King perfectly described in his famous I Have a Dream speech, where everyone can hope to one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I believe that by weaving this idea into our education system, this will one day be accomplished. Thank you.